Welcome to the WLPGA podcast series. Each podcast will feature LPG industry leaders and explore current opportunities, trends, and developments in the LPG industry. We hope you enjoy these informative segments.
Hello, this is Stuart Weidie, the President and CEO of Bossman Gas, the largest independent LPG company in the United States. And I'm also President of Alliance Autogas, the nationwide autogas equipment and fuel provider. Today I would like to talk with you about how our company is working to change the perception of propane autogas in the United States from a dirty fossil fuel to a clean alternative energy source. Now, as we all know, propane autogas is one of the most beneficial natural resources we have on this earth in terms of its efficiency, energy density, and environmental cleanliness. And also, it's the third most popular alternative transportation fuel globally because of its efficiency, purity, and abundance. Now, in the United States and throughout Europe, however, it is derisively described as a fossil fuel, a phrase that the clean energy movement has successfully demonized. I really believe this is a mistake. So we have a big challenge before us to educate the public, state and local governments, and environmental groups about the benefits of our clean fuel. You know, autogas reduces greenhouse gas emissions versus petrol and diesel by 30% and NOx by up to 60%, and improving even more this year with the new systems that our company is bringing to the market. Now, in comparison to battery EVs, autogas is better for the environment when accounting for the mining of materials, the battery production, and the movement of all of these components around the globe. Astonishingly, these myths continue to abound about the benefit of EVs, and they ignore these facts, and they go unchallenged. So as a result, we find ourselves competing against popularized industries that do far more damage to the earth than help mitigate harmful emissions. Now, believers of this EV movement fail to base their decisions on fact, but rather on emotion. From the extraction of the materials and associated carbon intensity issues, from the energy lost when you're putting natural gas or any other source into a power plant, the fact that only 32% of that gets to the plug. Incredibly inefficient. Now, similarly, solar panels and wind turbines, on the surface, very good, but they rely on fossil fuels for production and backup energy. But they also exponentially create a larger carbon footprint when they reduce. Did you know that building one wind turbine requires 900 tons of steel, 2,500 tons of concrete, and 45 tons of plastic? And after a few years, these gigantic turbines end up in landfills, only to be replaced by more of the same. So another thing that needs to be brought into the conversation, if we're going to have a serious conversation, is we need to conserve the Earth's resources, or conservationism, as it's been termed for the last 100 years. It seems to be lost on the environmental movement, but it is an important part that we must give consideration to. And not only that, why do we have to destroy the earth to save the planet? So this is where our work begins. At the World LPG Association last year, a politician warned that all of you in the fossil fuel industry would be out of business in 25 years and you better go find something else to do. We would become extinct. And I was sitting listening and thinking, and replaced with what? Doesn't he understand all the mining that was required for these quote unquote clean renewables, the batteries and the materials used in those batteries and where they come from and how they're mined? Now, for the past several years, I've been predicting that hydrogen is going to be the next rage when people begin to understand the problem with electric vehicles and, for that matter, many of the renewables. Now, hydrogen is not only extremely volatile, but it takes 14 units of energy, primarily, by the way, natural gas or methane, to produce 1 unit of hydrogen fuel energy. Does this make any sense? So through the demonization of fossil fuels, consumers and policymakers are led to believe that they are doing something great for the planet, when the truth is that they are being manipulated into purchasing a machine that requires destruction of the earth to produce a battery, and using centralized power generation that only gets 32% of the energy at the plant to the plug. This is irresponsible and the antithesis of sustainability. Arguably, these movements are the most extravagant Luddite indulgence of the past 50 years. And by the way, another thing I want to comment on, the internal combustion engine is not dead. While many have predicted the demise of the IC engine, the fact is that today's modern engines produce 99% fewer emissions than those in 1970, and advancements and improvements are being made every day. Autogas is slowly but steadily making inroads with America's fleets because it satisfies the 5 imperatives of a legitimate transportation fuel: abundant supply, sufficient energy and power density, domestic production in the case of the United States, lower cost and reduced emissions. So I would like to urge everyone to think more seriously about conservationism and the use of LPG that's available right here, right now, to help clean the climate, to help improve the health of the citizens of our world, but also to be more conservation in nature and be good stewards of the Earth's resources. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we look forward to you tuning in again soon.